Hey guys, how's it going? Week 5. So today I just wanted to start off with a trade I made and a couple trade rumors and my whole thought process with the whole thing, because I thought that this was a perfect example of how important goalies are and how different people value different goalies so differently. It's very interesting when you see some teams who don't even have a real pressing need for a goaltender, and some teams who have a distinct need for a goaltender, and how that one team who doesn't really need the goalie goes and gets the goalie that she wants anyway. Meanwhile, as other teams are trying to get by with what they got and not trying to give up offense. What I'm trying to allude to here is my trade with Ina yesterday. Trade started like 3 days ago. It was a pretty big deliberation. It went from pretty much what the original offer was Jeff Carter and Pavelec for Hiller, and that was the offer sent to me from Ina. So I looked at it and I just didn't want. I didn't really want Carter just because of his injury. So I told Ina that she would probably have to look into trading me Parise, and at first it didn't receive such great review, I guess you would say. It didn't sit well. But after looking at it, I guess Ina decided that she wanted Hiller, and she would trade Parise for him. We had a little back and forth on the second player in the deal, which turns out won't probably be that big a deal. It'll probably be a difference between like 10 points or whatever it is. And it's whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it, but pretty much it was between Setaguchi and Filppula, and just to get the deal done, especially after how Hiller played the other day, and with the way Pavelec was playing, I think it turned out being pretty fair. And this goes to show, for you guys watching, that it's really important to have a goalie. And Ina, who is backed by the wisdom of Carl, Carl wouldn't let her do a deal like that. He definitely watches out for her. How important goalies are. I think Hiller was taken the 13th overall goalie, and he's going for a forward who might score 40 goals this year. And I just think that's very telling as to where people feel as though the goalie stats are, and how much a bad goalie can hurt you, along with how a good goalie can propel you to the top. Just a review. I just want to analyze the trade. I know I make a lot of the trades, so it's very hard to constantly analyze. But pretty much what the deal was I ended up getting Parise. And what I need is goals, as everyone can see. But when Crosby comes back, November 11th, knock on wood, man, it's the date that everyone's talking about. So we'll say November 11th, Crosby and Parise would definitely boost my goals. They got to boost my goals. And there's another trade in the works that I'll explain a little bit later. But Crosby and Parise will boost my goal totals immensely. That's over Adam and Filppula, or Adam and Hayduk. So think about that. Think about it like that. I trade Hiller, but I keep Smith, who's been having a great year, and Hobby Bulin. And I get Pavelec, who has the past 5 starts have been very, very, very good, if you guys watched the Ranger game the other day. With that said, Pavelec is probably my number 4 goalie. He's not that great, but he's still a starter on a team where he knows he's a starter, unlike probably 6 or 7 teams around the league now. Ina picked up Enroth. He's been doing well. Miller is not doing great. And Harding is now starting for the Wild. Backstrom gets a start. Harding had like 4 starts in a row, and he's been doing phenomenal. So now you got Harding, you got Elliott in St. Louis. Grease is stealing starts from Niemi. Carl Kurt's situation is just freaking fucked. And I just, it's very interesting. The Islanders don't have a goalie. It's DiPietro, Montoya, Nabokov. It's, Anderson sucks. So Ottawa's out. There's only like goalies who are desirable on probably like 20-something teams, and Pavlik might get into discussion with a .914 save percentage last year. So that's pretty good numbers compared to what everyone else has around the league. And he's not 42 like Rolison is, teabaggers. So what Ina does with this trade, she gets a top goalie what should have been picked before Halak, should have been picked maybe before a lot of these guys. But she loses a definite point producer, probably a point a game in Parisi, and she's now rolling with Eberle, Hopkins, Lupul, Carlson's overperforming. She's got all these guys who are young, off the hot starts, but has to think that these guys won't continue that, and she gave up a proven point guy. That's the risk you take, but she gets Hiller. So that's what she wanted to do. I end up getting Parisi, Pavlik back, and it turns out to be a pretty fair trade if Ina can get the wins and Hiller can provide the save percentage he's produced in years past. And that should be a fairly even trade, especially when I'm going to slot Mike Smith in, who should produce similar numbers the rest of the year to Jonas Hiller. I won't say the same, but he should produce very similar numbers. And I have Bulin on the bench, an awesome waiver pickup. And now Bulin's starting to get a lot of talk, especially from these top goalie analysts and these fantasy sites, as being a surefire top number 2 netminder. And they're thinking his numbers are going to not be 960, but 920 is not out of the question. And that is very good news for me. So now I can rotate matchups and maybe throw in Pavlik once in a while. So the next trade I have, I was talking to Kurt about possibly Bulin and Gonchar for Keith. I don't see myself doing that. I think Keith isn't doing great. He's hurt. The way these goalies are playing, and I know these updates around the league, there's not too much to talk about. The hot starts are still hot starts. The slow starts are still slow starts. There's not a whole lot of change going on in the league right now. So I think it's important to note that these goalies are really starting to get high value. And these are goalies who haven't necessarily proven themselves as elite yet. Especially on Bulin's case, he's done it before, but it was like 4 years ago. But now, the way Bulin's playing in front of this Edmonton team is absolutely incredible. And people are seeing it as something that's going to continue to grow. So, with that said, I picked up Dekanich on Columbus. Many people will probably raise an eyebrow on him. He's purely, if anyone does Dobber hockey or anything like that, he's one of those guys who Steve Mason is playing atrocious. Columbus cannot possibly be this bad a team. They're a professional hockey team. They cannot possibly be this bad. Pretty much the door is wide open for this guy Dekanich to go in and start. And if he does well, the job is his. And he was drafted by the Predators, who draft very good goalies. And he's got nothing but upside in terms of how he's going to play. So he's worth the waiver pick. I stash him on the IR. I don't have to drop anyone. And it works out well. Now, the next trade I have going it's with Adam. Here's the deal. I'm going to lay it out because he might accept it, he might not accept it. This is the layout of the deal here. I'm going to trade my Pavlik and my Teemu Selanne, who has 14 points in 14 games, 94 points in his last 84 games. So, not 84. 84 games. 87, 94 and 87. So he's still going. He's going extremely, extremely strong. Pavlik's had very strong start these past 5 starts. So the deal is I'm trading Pavlik and my Selanne for Jonathan Taves. All right. So pretty much what the deal is I'm offering this because Adam is very skeptical on Pavlik, and I had just gotten Pavlik. And Pavlik, he had good numbers last year. He tailed off towards at the end of last year. But he gets hot and he plays well. And especially around this time, I remember him playing extremely well on Carl's team. What the deal is, if Pavlik does well, and we have a guideline set for this in terms of statistics, if Pavlik plays well and does well, and it turns out to be a quality number 2 starter for Adam, the trade will stand. And he will have Solani and he will have Pavlik the rest of the year, and I will have Taves. If Pavlik does not do well, the trade can be reversed. We can just retrade the guys. That's not a big deal. If Solani gets hurt, because he was afraid of his injury, if Solani gets hurt the next week, we will reverse the trade. That's just a little incentive. I mean, I think Pavlik's going to do well. I think Solani's going to be okay. And this trade could very well be done. And Adam can accept this deal even if Pavlik doesn't reach numbers we agreed upon. And if Solani does well and Pavlik does okay, then he might just want Solani instead of Taves, who's very frustrating, but a guy I think I could use. More of the plus-minus. And I think he gets similar numbers to Solani. He's younger, which means he's more of a sure bet. But Solani's been proving it. If you watch anyone watch Solani play, he looks like he's freaking 30, maybe 20, 28, the way he skates. So I'm just picking up a little more insurance by trading Pavlik. And Pavlik is a starter for Adam that is putting up decent numbers right now and should help him start to climb up in the wins and give him an actual shot at doing something. And also he has a chance of getting more shutouts, just based on pure starts. So that's the deal. If it gets accepted, if you guys watch this video, that's the deal. And so just if you're keeping track at home, if you're rooting against my trade, root against Pavlik. If you're rooting for my trade and you think I'm giving up too much, which is possible, because I'm giving up a starter. These starters aren't easy to come by. Now, I don't even think anyone has a starter to trade, let alone a starter, a good starter. Look at the league right now. Look at the league. The league is in disconnect right now. I'm sorry, I didn't eat breakfast. The league is in disconnect right now strictly because of the amount of goalies not around. 12 teams, I knew this year was going to be tight with goalies because 12 teams, 24 goalies start. 24, you have to. You can't just, and the league doesn't let you throw in a blank spot. So you have to either, 2 goalies always have to be in, whether they play or not, they have to be in. That means 24 goalies. Name the bottom 7 or 6 or 7 teams in the league. Unfortunately, the Islanders might be in there right now, but you need to have Ottawa's goalie. Someone's going to have Ottawa's goalie in. It's just some of these goalies aren't good, and you have to put them in. So when you get a chance of getting a starter with upside, legitimate upside, which Pavlik has, it might be something worth taking a stab at, especially when you have a backout clause, such as my deal allows. I don't know how many goalies are taken now. I took Dekanich because he is legitimately a starter coming in there. I think they're hailing him as almost the new starter because Steve Mason can't stop a beach ball right now. So looking at the goalie situation, if you can get a goalie at a reasonable price without having to give up another goalie, you probably should look at doing that. Strictly because you add a starter. The starters, the wins are very important, but having the ability to maintain a save percentage and have 2 goalies who perform is so nice. The fact that you can get a shutout or a couple of shutouts and from this goalie will put you above everyone else. And it just makes absolute sense to make a move for a goalie if you can do it. A lot of these guys, I know Rolison's starting to play better, but I mean, I just don't see teabaggers, and I don't even know if they watch this. It's long-winded. It's me. I mean, I don't know how many of you watch it. I see views. It's like 6, 7, 8, 10 on a good day, which means most of you guys watch it. because I just upload it and I don't watch it on YouTube. So if you're watching, if someone's offering you a starting goalie, I'm not talking Halak. Now here's where I'll get into Kurt's goalie situation. All right, and we'll go around the league. I actually have, I don't know if I should segment this. If you guys want to watch a 30-minute video, which you can skip through it anytime if you're bored. But I could go through all the goalie situations around the league. And the number one, I think the one guy I'll talk to about today, and maybe I'll do something over a week, is we'll talk about Kurt's goalie situation. And it's not picking on Kurt. It's just I want to explain why goalies are so important and why having multiple goalies and not their backups are very important. And goalies without having to lose their job, we're worrying about having to lose their job to their backup, are important. All right. So Kurt, all right, I'll end with this, okay, with Kurt's, and then I'll stop because it's getting long. Kurt has Halak, Niemi, and Backstrom. Kurt took Niemi first round. Okay, it's a lot for Niemi, who I thought should have went maybe like 7, 8, 9 goalie. Sorry, that's how I felt. Took Halak in the third round. You know, he took Kopitar. He passed up Kopitar for Niemi. So the way this works out is, you know, he needs to have Backstrom or someone play well. And what Kurt's stuck in, he's in a situation where he's trying to trade goalie tandems and act like that they're one giant goalie and are going to do well. And they have great numbers combined. So you should make that trade because they're a good tandem. They're both very good. Kurt, I don't want your Elliott. He's a backup goalie. That's why he's been pumping around from league to league. He's had his chance to start. He just hasn't done well. You know, he had his chance to start. He was the backup to Halak. Halak is the golden boy, but Halak is not doing well. So that means that Elliott is now stealing starts. It's a goalie. Literally, they're splitting time right now until Halak can figure his crap out, which might not be ever, or it might be tomorrow. That's the fun of fantasy hockey. But the way it works out with Kurt is now he's trying to trade Elliott and Halak, and he's still valuing Halak in where he took him the third round, which he shouldn't have won anyway. So the problem is when people are offering guys such as, I don't know what the offers are for Halak, but Kurt should be jumping on that. Strictly because he's not a starter right now. He doesn't have the numbers. We're 11 games into the season now, guys. Maybe even more than that. Oh, got a text from Tolisha, apparently. I like this. Oh, this is live. Live. I'm getting some trade talks. I don't know if you guys can see that. The screen. There you go. See, this is how it works out. These out clauses. The out clause is great. Carl already screwed up Adam, so the fun part is going to be watching Adam try to deal with Ina, who I know is connected to Carl. So, Adam, you already got burnt once. Do you want to do another deal with Carl right now? Maybe a little bit later down the line? The burning is that Rini has 3 shutouts and Pavelski has done so well. I think maybe he needs to take a step back from trading with the Carl Ina tandem for a little bit and really look at what he wants to do with them. My out clause is terrific, however. So let me get back to goalies with Kurt because now it's approaching 20 minutes. Kurt needs to trade for a forward, I think, or trade for another goalie. So he could trade Halak and make his forwards better, or he can trade a forward and get another goalie and trade Halak with him. He's tried trading me Keith for Bulin. It's Keith and Gonchar for Bulin. Bulin and Gonchar for Keith. That's not a bad start, but Keith isn't producing and his hand is hurt. So Keith isn't doing phenomenal enough for me to want to trade a guy who's been playing phenomenal, plus another guy who's had actually pretty good numbers. So Kurt's situation is something to stay away from. I know that he's been trying to trade. I would be interested if you guys could get Halak on the cheap, but you do not pay full price for any of his goalies. Backstrom isn't starting anymore. Niemi's gotten pulled in like 3 of his past 4 games. Halak isn't really even starting anymore. He's splitting time with Elliott. Why would you want to trade for a tandem? It's one of those things to stay away from unless you're getting a deal. Do not pay full price for a guy who has an .848 save percentage. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see how this trade works out with Adam. I think it's a very fair deal. He has an out clause, so we'll see how he does this. It should be pretty funny either way, because he's got some things to think about. If you look at his side of the trade, he has a lot of upside. Solani might outperform Taves the rest of the year, because he did last year. And Pavlik might turn out to be a quality number 2 starter for him. And if it doesn't happen the first week, you can trade it right back. It's a good deal, and that's part of why I'm like a trade mastermind. So, all right, guys, have a great week. I'll probably do something on goalie situations. I think I should do a piece on goalie situations. Something to do in my free time. All right, guys, you have a great rest of your day.